Okay, so here we are. It's the evening of July 29th, and we're at the St. Paul's Children's Garden, and we've got a sunflower or two. There's one of the really tall ones that started to bloom, and you can see down the corridor along the herb bed at the very end, even in the shaded area, we have one blooming. We're having a lot of success with our peppers right now. They are just loaded with these little white peppers. And you can see as they mature, they're becoming this really great orange color. And so these are the ones that are older and they've taken on some color. And each of the plants is starting to show a few of those. And we still have the jalapenos staying as green gets. They're not changing color just yet. But the plants are still producing flower buds that are producing more fruit. You can see some young fruit will be coming from there. We're doing pretty well with our cucumbers. The foliage here is looking a little bit worse for the wear. Not so much spot as stress right now. We had a few dry days, actually a good week or so of dry weather, and now we've had some more rain today, so that was helpful. But we still have cucumbers coming, and they are all in here. And there's another one, though, that's sort of punked out, and that's one that was not fertilized. Just because you have a female flower on the plant doesn't mean that the bees will get to it or the other pollinators will get to it in time before that flower closes in order to pollinate it. So we'll take that off so the plant doesn't waste any energy. But there's a little green one coming under here that's just fine. And so we're going to have, as long as this vine stays alive and we don't have too much damage to the foliage at this time of year, we should have ourselves a few more cucumbers before the season's out. The watermelons are really taking on some size. This one is doing really well. It's growing, and the two smaller ones here, this one and then this one down in here, are also getting some size. It was interesting to see, though, that we didn't get any other watermelons out of these vines. I've been told that you can usually expect 2 or 3, 3 to 5, something in that range with each vine. But 3 is usually the number, and so we only look like we have one very productive vine. And of course we have our mother of all watermelons, and this guy we're watching grow exponentially, and this is the one that when everybody comes back to school we're hoping will be ready, and it will be something we can share with a bunch of students, because it should be 35 pounds if it does what it's supposed to. I don't know, though, that this first year our soil has been amended enough to get optimal growth out of it. These kooky, useless pumpkins were just kooky, useless cucurbits. They definitely did not come true. But I do have some bean beetles on here, and we can take that one and show it. And then there's another one I thought I saw in here. Yep, right down here. There's a second one. And we do need to mush them because they will lay eggs and they will eat all of our other cucurbits. So we're going to stomp them out as we go. And then we have a couple of pumpkins here that I believe really are pumpkins. They were the ones that had that terrible damage to their stems, but they've kept growing, and it looks like they may put on some growth for us, and maybe they'll flower and we'll get a couple of pumpkins before the year is out. But I didn't see any female flowering on this yet. Now here's something fun to look at. Our Zucca squash is finally putting out a female flower, and that tip, when it's fertilized with some of the male flowers, which are the ones that are set back there that don't have fruit on them, will go ahead and begin to grow and grow and grow, and this can be easily a 5-pound squash. And it looks like we've turned the corner in the season, and the temperatures and the climatic conditions are just right so that we can have some female flowering on our squash and get a little productivity. Now this is a winter squash, so it is a little bit later this year. And over here we have plenty of melons. This is the cantaloupe, and it's getting some size on it. And our cute little Sprite melons, aren't they wonderful? And they're a little bit bigger than the first batch were, but you can see that they turn from that green, they become a red and yellow color. and oh, that one just came off the vine. I had 2 of them earlier come off the vine, and when they get this color, that's supposed to be done. Now, I'm a little concerned that that wasn't fully ripe on that side. I don't have a good way of preserving the melons, so I'll do a little research and see if I can figure that out. But you see that we still, with that little melon, have this leaf spot coming. So I'll take some time while I'm here and pinch out the damaged leaves, but you can see that that is a mildew, and then that mildew becomes, see that yellowing color, then that becomes a problem for the foliage, and we can lose the whole plant that way. But before we finish with the melons, we should look at the other the other cantaloupes that are coming. And there's one here, and there's one here, and there's a younger one here. And you see the younger ones are kind of fuzzy, and as they get older, they're going to yellow, and then they're going to get that that kind of tan-colored webbing that cantaloupes have. So, on to our tomatoes. A bird has found this. I'm not sure what this might have been if it had developed, but it looks like the birds decided they were going to take a bite before we got one. This looks like it's what we call the black cherry tomato, and as that ripens, I think it's going to get a very deep purpley kind of color. Or actually, maybe it was considered a purple cherry, not a black. And then this one is definitely gooseberry, and aren't they pretty? The cherry tomatoes, we can dry them, and we can go ahead and save them that way. So we'll try and do that. And the Roma tomatoes are hanging in, but they're not ripening just yet. And this little tomato over here has some fruit at the bottom, but it wasn't producing a whole lot as we went up the plant. So we've had some weather that we discussed last time that was a little bit warm for for fruit set on tomatoes. They may flower, but those flowers won't produce fruit. Now this is interesting here. This is the Genovese tomato, and you can see how it's really ribbed, especially when you look at that one. It almost looks like a pumpkin. And this is going to be a red tomato that's very tasty, and not sure what that one's going to do until it does it. We'll have to see how all 3 of the ones that are a little larger and round green up, or color up, I should say, and then we'll know what we've got. So our sweet potatoes are moving along. They are starting to travel, and so the hope is that by Thanksgiving, we've got a little bit of a bounty here. It's a little hard to see against this mulch, but the roots really, or the vines are really starting to move along. And then we have 1 radish left. We had somebody who thought it was time to harvest them, and they came in and took all of the kindergartners' radishes out, but 1 got away from them. And we knew we had put the radishes in kind of late to use them as food. We were hoping that we would let most of them go to seed, and then we would have seed that we could collect for everybody to seed next year, and in the fall we have a better harvest of radishes so we could put them out when y'all come back. And it looks like maybe 2 got away, so we'll see if we can let them go to flower and get some seed off of both of these, and then we'll have something to bring back to the garden from collecting seeds for next fall.